That stuff matters, carved in stone. Every stitch and every tone. Living, loving, grinding through all the nerdy things we do.
What's up, guys? Bean here, back with That Stuff Matters, episode 4. We are rolling. We're having fun. We've got a lot of guests lined up, and I'm talking good guests, people that I really respect in the community, and numerous things. We're talking people that you see working in public, service, people that are owning businesses, organizations, people that donate time back to the youth. And while I know not everything is about volunteering and donating your time, it's important. It's something that we love here, we believe in, and I hope that you feel compelled to do so in your own community. Maybe you'll hear a message here and move on it. It'll be some action that you'll take. That brings me to this week's guest. And I was pretty excited because this person is pretty reserved as far as behind the scenes. Maybe isn't as vocal in front of a crowd as they should be, in my opinion. But someone who has done more for the county, families in the county, than most, that's for sure. So when I started to speak to Andrea about doing a podcast, it's kind of funny because I think her initial thought was it was an audio only, as many podcasts are. But coming out of the gate here, we do have video, and it's really nice to see a face with an organization, kind of hear the story. I mean, I'm going to let her tell the story, but as I mentioned earlier, as I hope some of you feel compelled to move, action, I hope you listen to her story and the background of how the organization came to be, S.E.V, is something that, a higher power was at work, in my opinion. And I think for most of us, there are going to be times in your life where you might feel like someone is talking to you. Someone's telling you to move, to follow through with an idea in your head. And there are always positive and negative forces coming at you, and maybe reasons you do or don't. And we find excuses to not do stuff. And I think Andrea experienced this as far as, maybe initially when the idea came to her head, maybe it wasn't something that people thought would be possible. And I think it's a good story of, if you feel something inside of you, someone talking to you, if the Lord is working in a mysterious way, you need to move on it. And it doesn't have to be something that you dive into 100% right out of the gate. But don't just shove that into the back of your head and just forget about it, because it's probably pretty important. That's what we believe anyway. That stuff matters. And this week's guest, I'm so excited, founder of Saving Every Victim. I have known her since high school. Her mom was my teacher. Her dad was my teacher. She's a school board member. She owns her own business. She coaches youth sports. There's a lot to her. I hope you guys enjoy the backstory to S.E.V and all that is. And without further ado, this week's guest, Andrea Switzer. I agree with you. And so because I have older kids, they start to cuss. Mm-hmm. And we tell our kids they are sentence enhancers, and you can use them if a sentence really needs enhancing. You can't just spew.
My parents hate it, hands down. And my husband that I cuss. So.
Do your parents get on to you for it?
I mean, no, because I'm 40, but I know they don't like it.
All right. Here we go.
Okay. Oh, I was trying to figure out the number of stuff. We'll have to do some math in my head.
It's fine.
Okay.
Welcome to That Stuff Matters, episode 4. I have another fantastic guest. And I say guest, but longtime friend. I've known you forever.
Long time.
Say hello to Andrea Switzer.
Hey.
Andrea does a ton of things. She's a local entrepreneur, business owner. She's a coach. She founded a nonprofit organization that has arguably helped maybe more families in Lynn County than any other. And she's a school board member, a mom. Did I forget anything?
No, I don't think so.
It's pretty.
Got a lot of hats.
It's pretty impressive. I mean, what drives you to be so involved in so many facets of your life?
Ooh. Well, I think when you have a lot of kids, you almost don't really have an option. But my parents were always the kind that just dove in and did it and tried to help make things better, I guess. We're always on the go. So I'm not gonna lie, I just can't sit still very well. So that's part of the problem.
Part of the problem?
Yeah.
Your mom was my 5th grade teacher, and I can attest to, I feel like she was at every little Brookfield event imaginable.
But yeah, both. Like
But your
we
dad,
got,
too.
yeah, we got lucky. We just, when they had off, we had off. And so they were at every game. We supported everything with the school. Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing every big moment that, when we weren't older, but in high school and when dad was coaching and stuff. So we just were at every little thing. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm the same way with my kids. They want to go watch all the older people, and I think that's important. So
S.E.V.
Yeah.
How many years has he coached?
Oh, forever, it feels like. I'm super sad it's over. I mean, geez, before I was born. And then it was 2 years ago?
Yeah.
A long time.
Yeah.
In and out,
2 years
in and
ago.
out of retirement. But that's all we knew growing up. So, I mean, whole family. My grandpa also was a coach, and uncles and all that thing. So it's in our
your
bloodstream, yeah.
So, and I mean, I guess I just know a lot about the family here, but
Yeah.
because he was such a big Iowa fan, are you all
We are
fans?
Iowa fans. We became big Caitlin Clark fans. My daughter loves basketball, and so do we. So she's ignited the whole Iowa thing. So it's made Papa proud for sure. Yeah.
In the gym, I just made this like big banner. It was really a banner to kind of block off some of the shop's parts and pieces and signs and substrate. But I was trying to put like impactful figures on there, and like all these figures on there are like old school.
Right.
Mike Tyson and Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson. And I put like, here's Caitlin Clark right in the middle, because it's like, I don't remember an athlete making such a huge impact like immediately for a long time.
I would agree. She's well loved in our house.
Yeah, ours as well. I find myself watching WNBA games, which I didn't think I would ever do, but they're really exciting.
They're more fun than NBA games.
They really are.
I'm not a big NBA
These girls
fan.
are passionate.
Yeah.
And there's some rivalry now. And we were big Sophie Cunningham fans.
Yeah.
My daughter went to her camps and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of neat.
It is neat.
Fun to watch.
Yeah.
So when I really start to think about all the things you do, the big one that comes to mind is S.E.V. So that is Saving Every Victim. Tell us a little bit about that organization. When did you come up with the idea for that?
So S.E.V. was a spur of the moment idea. I was doing Susan G. Komen had and they may still have it. It was a 3-day, 60-mile walk for their breast cancer foundation. And I was doing I'd done the first one in Kansas City in 2006, and I did the second one in 2009 in Texas. And I was walking with a lady to walk through the whole time. We were like in the top 20. We felt like we were some big stuff. Her name was Lisa. And we were talking about where she was from, where I was from. And in order to participate in that walk, you had to raise a minimum of $2,500, which is crazy. So if you wanted to give $10 and walk, you couldn't. It was a minimum. So that when you thought about that, it was weird. I felt like it was kind of greedy, to be
Mhm.
honest, to be able to participate in something like that. But at the time, I didn't live at home. And so what I did is I sent letters about what I was doing with self-addressed envelopes. And then I sent them all to my people back home that I knew, teachers, coaches, friends, family. And then that's how I raised the money to be able to do each one of those walks. So the woman, Lisa, and
What
I,
year was that?
the last one was in 2009 that I did the one in Texas. So we had done a booby bash to raise money for it. That was that the very first one? Yeah, that was the very first one with the pink tie-dye shirts
Booby bash.
to
Good
help
memories.
raise monies for that. Yeah. And so,
Because this is like people don't realize this is before you could just go on social media and be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
I'm doing this. I need help."
yeah,
So
Facebook
you were
wasn't
writing letters.
Yeah, Facebook wasn't really a thing. It was a thing if you were in a university, but that was it. You weren't able just to pop on. I think at that time it was MySpace, but nothing good came out of
Yeah.
MySpace, you know. So yeah, we were writing letters about what we were doing, and then just basically asked for a free will donation. And then we did for the second one, we did the booby bash dance, which helped raise money.
Mhm.
And so when we were on our last 20 miles, you weren't supposed to have your phones out or any like earphones on or anything to block out your hearing whenever you were doing these walks. Because in Texas, you were walking on main roads, main highways, and stuff like
you need to
that.
be aware.
Yeah.
Alert.
So Lisa and I were talking about it, and I told her where I was from, and there really wasn't a nonprofit to help people with cancer. So I had texted my mom, and I was like, "Hey, I think I should do something like this for just Lynn County." And she's like, "You're crazy," or she said something like, "You're crazy. Put your phone away," or I wasn't supposed to have my phone out.
Mhm.
And I was like, if I can figure out a name before I'm done with this walk, I'm going to do it. Well, so me and Lisa were talking, and we were trying to figure out a name. She's like, "Well, did you have any nicknames growing up?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I mean, kind of. I mean," so that's where S.E.V came from. Then it had to stand for something because that was weird.
Yeah.
And then when I got done with it, we had talked about it on the drive home from Texas, and I didn't have a clue how to do it or how to start it. And so I wanted it to be anonymous, like the name. I like to do things kind of behind the scenes.
Sure.
I don't like to public speak. Like this is okay because it's just you and I, but I know I'll probably sweat when I see it on the, wherever. But I don't like to, I'm getting better as I get older, but I didn't like to do any of that. And so I'd actually spoken with a lady over in Marceline about it. And she said, "Well, would you donate to a foundation that you couldn't have a name with a face?" And I was like, okay, good point. So we came up with that, and that was really the only nickname I had growing up that I was aware of.
Fits perfectly.
Yeah. I mean, there's days I kind of wish I would have had something a little cooler other than saving every victim, because I'm not saving anybody. But
Well, but it's
young
the
and
concept.
yeah,
It's,
just kind of, I was ready to get rolling on it. So that's what we came up with.
I just, while you're not specifically saving them, I know from, well, I'll just say it. You, when my wife found out she had a little bit of cancer, I mean, you just helped us, and it was, it's like this weight comes off your shoulder a little bit, just knowing, wow, that was really nice. And I understand you're not saving them their life,
Yeah.
but you are saving them.
Yeah. We're hoping it helps a little bit. I mean, we've been able to grow a little bit throughout the years and help a little bit more financially than we could at the very beginning, just not really knowing what to expect. But hopefully it takes some sort of burden off. It's like,
Certainly.
there's a lot that comes with all of that. And so you can't be everybody's everything. And we felt like financially a monetary gift would help them in whatever way. I know we've had some around Christmas time, and I've had people need to get their kids Christmas gifts because they've been sick and haven't been able to work. And how people use it, that's whatever they need at the time. That's what's important to us. So,
is there any way for you to even like quantify like how many people or families you contributed to?
I had to just ask my mom. We do keep track. We have helped many families multiple times, especially when things are reoccurring. I would say it would be safe to say probably around 800 families, with within like, helping some of those a couple times or maybe even a few times. I mean, we were in touch with people who had it for 20 years, so sometimes, and we like to help once a year if we can, because we have to set a limit somewhere, so we don't have to ever turn anybody down. So I would say around 800 families would be a safe guess.
I just know how hard it is to raise money for like one thing. I can't imagine trying to do that for 800 instances. That's wild.
Well,
That's really commendable.
we've kind of we've got it worked out with the help of you designing shirts. I keep thinking every year nobody's going to buy shirts because like this is, let's see, what was it, 2010? We're going on 15 years.
Wow.
I know I've got enough S.E.V shirts to probably clothe everybody in Linn County. So a lot of people do, but I guess everybody's looking for a good t-shirt. So they keep buying them. So I don't like to fix it if it's not broke,
And I feel like every time I go to Walmart or somewhere in town, I see someone wearing a Pink Out shirt.
I would agree. Yeah.
I mean, it's always rewarding to me to see people wearing shirts that I've designed and made, and it means a little bit, but I can only imagine you see all these people yearly, like the numbers go up.
Yeah. Yeah. So far it's gone up there, around COVID, it was a little tricky. And even now things are so expensive. Life is just expensive. So
I would also like to figure out how many shirts we've made over the years. I would have to do some digging, but
well,
we're talking thousands upon thousands upon thousands.
Well, I know
tens of thousands.
I think every year we've never ordered less than 1,400. So you take that times 15.
Yeah.
Whatever that may be. That's a lot of shirts, and that's just for one thing.
Yeah.
So high five to you.
Is that your main fundraiser?
Yeah. Yeah, we we did the Booby Bash for years. And then I started having more kids, and then kids that were underage were wanting to come in and I was getting old. Let's just put it that way. I was becoming a parent, and I didn't really want that responsibility, or I didn't want that really. That's not what I wanted S.E.V to be about. And I get it. I mean, I was one of those underage kids trying to hang out at a wedding reception, but I got to the point where I thought, okay, I'm out of that. All our age group were having kids and getting older, and it was just time to kind of move on to the next thing.
And that's a good example of an event where it was purely good intentions.
Yeah.
And you had people being pretty negative about it.
Yeah, I did.
I remember.
Yeah, I did. We lived home. We moved home for like not even a month, and boom, right in the paper.
Yeah. So anyone watching, just keep in mind that as you do good things, there will be people who don't like the way you do good things, and that's okay. You just have to move on,
push through it.
Yep. Yeah. So that's the biggest fundraiser, and I hope people watching this keep in mind, if you really want to support S.E.V, it's as simple as buying a T-shirt. It is. I just can't imagine how impactful buying a T-shirt becomes.
Right. And not only that, I mean, the sponsorships each year, our sponsorships keep growing. We try to have a off year. So whoever hosts the Pink Out, so like this next year will be Brookfield. So we'll hit up Brookfield businesses, but we have business. So whoever hosts, that's who we ask for sponsorship. But we have people each year that refuse to take a year off, that they're like, no, we want to be on the shirt. And the writing is getting teeny tiny because we have so many businesses. So that's huge. And then everybody keeps buying T-shirts. So yeah, it's when I talk to the high school girls about selling shirts, it's not you're selling a shirt. There's probably nobody that can say they haven't had anybody in their family affected by cancer, friends, family, loved ones, at some point. So it's more than buying a shirt, but it adds up.
Just a good example of how, $20 can make a big impact for
sure. For sure.
So is there a way that people, average Joe, can just be a part of or help S.E.V?
Yeah. Every year we want a Pink Out committee, which I typically start to round that up around the 4th of July, shortly after. Mm-hmm. We like it to be people of the town that is hosting. It just makes it easier for that particular year. So anyone can help with that. Any businesses can sponsor. Anybody can buy T-shirts. We do try to get them, to buy from the high school girls. We always like to have them, sell a certain amount so that way they earn a free shirt, if you will. Just to kind of have a goal in mind, and for the most part, everybody makes that goal. But yeah, and we get a lot of the Pink Out is our main fundraiser. We get a lot of memorials. It's crazy. It's the most uncomfortable, awkward, grateful, thankful feeling to have, but it's so uncomfortable because S.E.V, the foundation itself, is gaining from a loss of someone's loved one. And it's like an awful feeling, but yet we're so grateful that they think of S.E.V in a time that's so tragic. But we, obviously most of the memorials we get have been of families that we've helped. And because of that, we're able to do the Pink Out and then be successful with that. And then the memorials throughout the year. So it's really kind of our only main big fundraiser. Once I started having so many kids, I just had to, I had to push pause on doing several a year. It was just kind of too much emotionally for me to kind of do more than the Pink Out. So we've kind of established that to be the big one. And we've never had to turn down a family, ever. So, and even when we've been asked multiple times, we've never had to turn them down. So that was kind of the main goal from the get-go.
Perfect. I mean,
yeah.
I think the important message there is make sure you buy a Pink Out shirt.
That's right.
S.E.V is awesome. Something else you do that I just, couldn't believe is you decided to run for school board in Marceline, and you're a school board member. What drove you to pursue that?
Definitely having parents as educators. Believe it or not, I did. After I went to cosmetology school, I went to college for 3.5 years and decided to quit. I went to be a teacher. It's kind of when I recognized the teaching profession. My parents were kind of getting close to retirement. Things were changing. I am not thrilled that I quit, but I knew that I was never going to end up being in the classroom. My mouth would get me in trouble. So with mom and dad, I got to see the good, the bad, the ugly. I got to see all the things that happened on the inside. Not only and most teachers are probably the same way, but my parents were there. I mean, my dad was always gone before we ever even got up, and my mom never came home till 5 o'clock. I mean, we were always there. If we had practices, she stayed there. So we got to see. I would say I had two of the best examples of teachers and coaches putting in the time, putting in the extra work. And I mean, like I said, I got to see the good, bad, and the ugly. It's a thankless job. You get paid nothing to do probably one of the hardest jobs in the world. And when I decided to not pursue that, I knew when I had children that the only way that I could back those educators, back those coaches, back the administration was to be on a school board wherever my kids would land.
I love that. So I was, I lost my job and I went and applied to be a teacher. I wanted to be a teacher so bad because I wanted to coach. I wanted to just be involved. But I don't know how teachers do it because they don't get paid enough for what they do. They really don't.
No, they do not.
So something that I've watched from afar, I hope to run for school board someday. I think that would be a really good way to give back to youth and the community. But something that frustrates me a lot of times is people will complain, and you can't stop people from complaining online, social media. I get it, about things and the way it is and certain circumstances. What's the best way for parents to kind of get involved? I mean, just show up to those meetings and...
Well, with every board, and especially a school board, you have a chain of command. And so whether it's an issue with an educator or a coach, what parents need to first do is ask their kids, hey, what are you doing or not doing?
Right.
Then they need to go and ask that particular teacher or their coach. There's a certain chain of command that they need to follow. That's how it needs to start. it doesn't come to the school board until it's gone through all of those chains.
Sure.
And so, but if you do want to make a difference, social media is not the way to go. It is the way to cause a lot of
Drama and pain.
ignorant people to be more ignorant. But if you truly want to change, you're going to go to the people place behind closed doors to not try to humiliate anybody and to not upset anybody and to be like, hey, here's my concern. We need to figure out a solution. Or, I mean, and I'm a what do you want to call it? I'm a straight faced person. Like I want you to come in and talk to me personally. I like to talk to people in person rather than through the phone or text or email. And so I feel like too, you can kind of get emotions and concerns out better that way than rather through a keyboard. But no true change is going to happen unless it goes through the proper chain of command. And parents have got to dig deep within their kids first to make sure it's a bigger problem. But to be heard, you definitely need to go to a chain of command. It doesn't hurt to go to those meetings. You can say whatever you want to do behind closed doors, but if you're not going to those meetings and hearing what actually happens or going through the chain of command, then no change is going to be made.
All the the due process that is required for any change to actually occur. It isn't like you guys can just make some decision randomly and implement it.
Right. Right.
I really believe in what you said too about you have to look at your own kids first, because I learned a really important lesson from OJ Rodriguez. He probably doesn't even remember he said it to me, but shout out OJ. A long time ago, he was telling me about a certain circumstance, and it was at the Y. And he looked at me and said, in any altercation, situation, whatever the case may be, you can never be so like, I forget the exact way he worded it, but you can't ever assume that you played no part in it.
Right.
So you have to empathize. You have to look at the situation from both parties' perspective and realize that while you may have been wronged, you may have still played a part in what occurred. So that was a big moment for me back in the day. I really think that's awesome. The school board thing is something that is really thankless. I mean, I think other than the graduation, people don't even see like.
God, and I wish they didn't see us at graduation. It's my worst. It's my worst, least favorite thing to being on the school board in Marceline is that the school board hands out.
You don't like getting dressed up and doing all that?
No, I like to just be in the background, and
you really do like to be behind the scenes.
I do.
I
do. I don't like that. It's not about us. It's about the kids. Yeah. Well, when I saw the faces on, I was like, oh, I don't know. But yeah, no, I like to do the work, and then everybody else can present it or whatever. And
I mean, we need people like that. Some people want to be involved just so they can like put their stamp on.
Yeah, no.
If you're really for who you say you're for, you don't have to get credit for it.
Right.
So on top of all those things, you own your own business.
Yes.
And you're so she runs a salon, and those require like crazy hours. So shout out to everyone who's a hairstylist doing all that work. You have to work when people aren't working. I know that I've brought my kid over there at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Is that tough?
Yeah, it is. Those nights are dwindling down. My kids are so involved in things, and as they're getting older, it's getting harder. I try to have one night a week that I can work late. That through the summer is even hard. My clients know my kids come first always. And so luckily most of my clientele, they want me to be there and be a good mom first. And so that is getting harder. There's going to be a point in my life that 3 o'clock is going to be the end of it. And, we're getting there closer, but I also know too, like my clients work, and I understand that. So I try to accommodate. It's getting few and far between, but I've got a lot of teachers and coaches. So during the summer, it kind of works out well because I can come during the day and then I can start up my evening. It's easier for me to work at evening when school starts because we're in one season, we're in football or we're in basketball and wrestling, or, we're not everybody has baseball, softball, nonstop.
as a small business, like, and especially because you're so connected with the school,
Mhm.
do you feel like you are constantly feeling compelled to donate and contribute to
Yeah,
a million different events?
100%. Yeah.
I think when people say support small and support local, it's not that we have anything against these larger companies and
Yeah.
organizations. It's just when you go to these ball games and you look at the banners on the wall, or in a lot of instances, if you're looking at things that the team is using,
Mhm.
things that an organization is using, it
Mhm.
was donated in part by
Mhm.
some donation from a small business.
Yeah.
And while the big places are important because we need those jobs and people need to work, a lot of times they're harder to go into and get those donations.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah. I mean, I could probably go broke over donating to, if I would donate to everything I wanted to donate to, I'd
Mhm.
make $0.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, when it comes down to it. So, I really try to focus on the youth. What my salon does, I try to focus on the youth programs, for the kids. I try to donate as much as I can for that. I try to do, the parks work stuff. Again, their work is for the youth. I really try to do that because really it's kind of full circle. So the pink out involves the younger kids,
Yeah.
and those younger kids become high schoolers, and so they're giving to the pink out, and we kind of filter it in. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
we really try to,
How
even
many
as a
people-
family.
How many people are comprised of the parks work? Because I know Jarrett is
Jarrett's the
leader.
main man. Yeah.
Shout out Jarrett.
Yeah.
Fantastic work. I can't believe all you've got done over there. in Nelson.
Jarrett, Zach Bruner, Rusty Phillips, I believe Tyler Shoemaker. I'm going to forget somebody. I know I'm forgetting a couple of them. They do a great job. If anyone's been over to Marceline in the Walt Disney Park, like
Right?
in a
And
minimal amount of time.
You mentioned Bruner. There's your big part of the school.
Yep.
So
He's our superintendent.
it's really cool when you see local folks that maybe left and came back, and they become an integral part of the community.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much negativity, and no matter what community you're in, people get negative about it. But when you move back and you choose to be a part of it, you should choose to be an active part of it, because whether you had a perfect memory from that town, or you're looking for your kids or just other people in the community, donate, volunteer your time,
Mm-hmm.
and really make an impact. And those guys specifically are doing that. That's awesome.
They are. Stuff out there is awesome.
On top of another thing you do here, coaching.
Yeah.
So Thunder,
Yeah. 12U Thunder.
12U Thunder. So
Yep.
softball is a year-round sport over there.
Well, kinda not with us yet.
yet?
I refuse to do that yet. Nora is 11, so they've got a group of girls. We do the 12U ball. Last year was their first year. We didn't do a whole lot last year. Just trying to kind of get things up and going. This year we're trying to do 2 tournaments a month. We started in March and we only had 1 tournament. May we're only doing 1, but we've had some double headers here and there. So we'll be done at the end of June. But yeah, I don't believe in the whole year, all year round thing quite yet. Not with their age.
Do you ever get to utilize Sports Zone?
Yeah, all the time.
That place is awesome.
We actually, so most of the girls that play the softball, they play basketball, so they go till March. Otherwise, we'd probably be in there a lot earlier, but I don't like to overlap like that as much.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, Sports Zone. It's such an asset to our well, I mean all the softball programs in Marceline, but baseball programs. Otherwise, I mean, we wouldn't have been able to practice until middle of April. We've been practicing since the beginning of March. My son's team's been in there since the beginning of January. So yeah, it's an awesome place to have.
That's really cool, because that's another one that, they had that idea for something that was a need for, their group of people, I'm sure that they're around. And while maybe not everyone in Marceline uses Sports Zone, it's become such a big part of everything that goes on over there.
Yeah, they have people come in from out of town to do pitching lessons, catching lessons, hitting lessons. A lot of the girls have graduated, have come back, and they donate, or they have lessons, so you can pay them for that. But to me, that's donating their time, even though they're getting paid a little bit. I know what I was doing when I was 19, 20 and was not helping little kids. So, but it is being used all the time. It's such a huge asset that it's one of those things, until it's gone, people won't realize how important it is.
Yeah.
And hopefully it never leaves.
I
So,
agree with that.
yeah.
So coaching, do you find yourself coaching like your dad?
No. Yes and no.
Do you have that intensity?
I do have it, but I channel it quite well. So my dad was a huge hard ass, especially with me. And so, as I am forever thankful for that, because not only I am not soft by any means.
Mhm.
My kids are not soft. Well, let me back up. My kids are kids, but I'm very realistic with my kids about their abilities and what they're capable of and what they do.
Yep.
I'm very honest with the athletes that I coach, but I'm not a yeller yet. I can be a yeller. Right now I help with my son's 12U baseball team, but I'm more the assistant, so I know my role on that team, and then I'm the head coach for our girls' team. I do not yell at them. I know how females work, so that's not. But as they get older, the intensity, I think it's crucial to really channel that, so they'll fall in love with the game.
Sure.
If I coached a high school level or older, the intensity would probably be
Increase.
up 100%.
I bring that up.
Yeah.
One, because I wanted to know, but my daughter, my oldest daughter, I coached her. I coached her when I was younger, and looking back, she told me she wanted to go on and play college basketball. So it was like I felt compelled to every day try and enforce this, to help her get there. And maybe I was a bit over the top. I can look back and say that. And then with Haven, when I coached her, I still had some of those, tendencies, but I feel like I always channeled it in a way that the kids really still enjoyed playing for me. But this past weekend, it was really fun experience, because here I've coached them both, and now Haven's playing, and Kaylee's a coach of that team. She's an assistant coach, and after the games got over, we had a rough day. So sometimes at these tournaments, when you're going and you're playing in Kansas City or wherever, you have good days where you're really competitive, and you have days where you just get hammered.
Right.
And we'd had a rough day, and after the long day, Kaylee was talking to the group of players, and she wasn't mean by any bit, but she was harder on them. So after we get done, we're kind of joking around with her, telling her she's the hard ass. And she lives in Oak Grove, and I go home, and we start to have this conversation via Snapchat. And she was just really worried that maybe she sounded too mean. And I thought, man, maybe part of that came from me, of being a little bit hard on her.
Well, you definitely learned from your parents, that's for sure. I like to be as realistic with my girls as I can without belittling them. But kids are soft. Us parents make them soft.
You brought up a good point too. Like, coaching girls is a lot different than coaching boys.
Yeah.
Girls are
emotional.
You can say something to them and they emotionally will just shut down.
Yeah.
Boys can just get angry and play harder. So it's about trying to find what works for each kid.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not like I was like super mean to these kids, but you could
I always tell my kids they don't even know what a mean coach is. It's never existed in their lifetime. So.
Right. I think back to my coaches, and Randy Parn was a fantastic coach. Did he yell at me?
I remember him in the stands.
Did he yell at me? Sure he did.
Yeah.
But I only have good memories of it. And same with the girls. I think if you ask the parents of the girls I coached, yes, I would get, like veins popping in my forehead. But it was never just screaming to make them feel inferior. It was really trying to motivate. So That's got to be tough.
Yeah, it's, some days you come away feeling like, oh, I got it through to them, and other days you're like, oh, what the heck. But we're still new, we're still learning. They, a lot of times in these travel teams, they throw all these kids out there and they expect them to know the fundamentals without anybody working on the fundamentals. So it's important to me that these girls play for each other and know the fundamentals of softball, and the
Yes.
winning will come. I'm not, I'm a realistic parent. I don't live vicariously through my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I am competitive as hell, so it is hard. I hate losing. I hate losing anything, but it's not about me. It's about them. So
Yeah.
you've got to learn there's more ways to win other than the scoreboard, especially in youth sports. Youth sports, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
You're right.
It really doesn't.
You're building character.
Right.
Kaylee, my oldest, she just got the head coach of the middle school basketball in
God bless
where she
her.
lives. And I think she's got like 30 kids her first year.
Wow.
And, because
That's a lot.
I was so like, we're going to be the best team we can be. But I told her the most important thing is that they have really good memories of it. They have
Right.
fun. They learn the game.
Right.
And that they then are passionate
Right.
about continuing that on.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like our job as youth coaches is to get them prepared for their middle school coaches, who then decide, hey, this is where you're playing. This is, and you teach them how to respect their coaches and how to be good teammates. It's like
Yes.
I've said, if we're not making them better people at the end of the day, we're not doing our job. I don't care about your stats when you're a youth, anything.
And
People that
college
fixate on
coaches
that, I think,
don't,
are insane.
for sure.
Yeah, no. And nobody's like, oh man, when they were 12, nobody cares. Nobody remembers. I mean, it's important now. But at the end of the day, life goes on and it doesn't matter.
I agree. Does your dad ever watch you coach and then like give you tips and pointers? And
No, I mean, he's there. They come to everything. He's a stats guy. He can, I don't have my short-term memory is awful. Awful. I'll be like, what inning is this? Or, it's so bad. He's that guy that he could know how many errors you had, he just, there's a reason why he was an algebra teacher. I do not have that. So no, he doesn't harp on me. He just watches and cheers on, and that's it. I'm sure it drives him crazy sometimes, but
I love it.
Yeah, no, he's at everything. So,
how do you, we talk about all those things that you're involved with. How do you attempt to balance it? Is it just day to day? You just
day to day
do your best?
Do my best. And today, I'm going to be honest, I had a phone call that was like, hey, we're here. I didn't have an appointment down in my books that they had down. So I fall short all the time. I'm not proud of it, but it is day by day right now with the phase of life that we're in. I've really had to, what I want to say, scale back in the last year anyway, which sounds crazy because of the things you listed. But I've got 4 kids, so that's why it's so crazy. But there's no such thing as balance in my eyes. We literally go day by day. Outside of what my kids have going on, what my husband has going on, what I have going on, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. We just have to take care of what's under our roof.
Oh, that's I like the way you said that.
We're just, you want to be at everything. We want to be at all of our niece and nephew stuff, and we want to go see our friends and do all the stuff, but we really we do not have the extra time right now. And anyone with multiple kids knows that. And so it's hard, but I've learned that it's important to take care of who's under your roof, and
that's where you got to start.
There's really no balance. I've tried it. I'm off the teeter-totter at this point. There's no balance. So I do my best, and I fall short daily.
Well, the one thing we preach on all the time here, and so far on That Stuff Matters, is it's about the willingness to show up again and again and again. And you just look back on the failures that you've had and you think, well, how can I improve upon those? And how can I implement where I was short there and in the future? So, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
We also do say it with your chest. And this is just, we're trying to find things that people are passionate about. So if there's one thing that you really stand behind, that you believe 100%, it could be anything. It doesn't have to be anything we talked about today. It can be something totally random. But what is something that Andrea really stands for?
I'm not going to lie. It's not about being a school board member. It's about supporting the education system. And that comes with a loaded, in my eyes, it comes with a loaded, it comes with the educators, the coaches, the administration, the janitors,
All of it.
the preschool teacher. It comes with all of it. That is something that that I cannot not stand behind no matter what. Because when I was growing up, we didn't have any family when we moved to Brookfield.
Mhm.
So my family were the teachers that my parents taught with and the coaches that I had. And like I said, like my parents were teachers, if a kid was disrespecting a teacher, you know, those were my parents they were disrespecting. And so not even being a school board member, but the education system, you will never probably find anyone more that will back the education system of where my kids are at other than myself.
That's
Period.
huge. And it's not like they have to be a school board member, like you said.
No.
You can pick any school organization and you can be a part of it, because I can guarantee you that none of these organizations are going to turn people away.
Right.
And
No, gosh, no. They need so many volunteers. I mean, in all aspects of everything. I mean, just even, and it's not even just support, but it's of doing things the right way. Like when we have a concern with a teacher or with, you know, approaching it the right way. Like,
yep.
and this goes back to being business owners. Like nobody intentionally tries to do bad. Nobody intentionally tries to upset your child, or nobody intentionally tries to hurt your athlete, or, you know, so we have a lot of that, like, out to get me mentality. And I don't know any educator or any administrator or any coach that wants to deliberately ruin somebody's life. You know, and so it's crucial to me that they have a support system. And I know what my parents got paid growing up. I know the shit they had to deal with inside and out. I mean, my dad got out after a practice, he got met out by a car by a psycho dad. My mom's had to go to court before, you know, like there's all these things that they have to deal with that, like, you don't see that they take home with them every day. They're not teaching, they're help raising. And that's a huge problem. They need to teach and educate, and parents need to parent. And right now in the world we live in, they are help raising 25 plus kids in their class.
Yep.
And so they deal with a lot, and our admin deal with some crazy things.
And those people that work out there in the education system, they care about all those kids.
Right.
And I know that there might be occasions where you feel like they don't, but they do, I think. And they do take that home with them. I can't imagine if you are watching a kid struggle and you know they've got things going on in their life, and you leave the building that day, you don't just forget about it.
Right. Well, I know, you know, everyone's ready for summer vacation, and teachers are too. They need a break. But I don't know one single teacher that probably doesn't think about every kid in her classroom or his classroom on the summer, and hoping that they're getting fed, hoping they're being treated right. You know, they get to lay eyes on them every morning.
Yeah.
You know, and that, like, teachers lose sleep over that type of stuff. And so, yes, they're ready for summer break and, it can't come soon enough. But, you know, you give them a couple weeks off and you can't tell me their wheels aren't spinning about where's he at? What's he doing? Are they eating? Are they, you know, and I think that I think probably any teacher feels that way, honestly. And any coach, like, that's their livelihood. Like, they want to see their people, and they don't really know how to do anything else. So
yeah, and that's one reason I am so passionate about coaching. You are teaching kids life lessons that a lot of them don't get.
Right.
And it's really critical, and those kids will remember you, good or bad.
Good or bad.
They're going to remember you.
Yep.
And there's few feelings that are better than a kid you coached 10 years ago seeing you and being like, hey, coach.
Yeah.
You know that.
I still call all my coaches coach, every single one of them. I even do some of their hair, and I'm like, hey, coach, like when they're in my chair, which is so weird because they took care of me and now I'm taking care of them. But I don't know of anyone that used to coach me that I call by their first name, to be honest.
A big thank you to all the teachers and coaches who watch this. But
amen to that.
In general, for sure. Well, Andrea, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to just come talk about all the things you do. I think the the things that you've done throughout the years, the nonprofit and starting your own business and getting involved in your community. I hope those are things that the younger generation see and they continue to do. Um, is there anything you really would like a little life tip, advice you would give someone who's wanting to maybe start a nonprofit or go down that road? Or
Do it. I have no regrets of starting a nonprofit. I'm not going to lie, though, I couldn't do it without my mom. She is a big part of it. The more kids I've had, the more involved I've gotten. She's a huge part of it. You definitely need somebody to do it with you that has the same passion and the same drive.
yeah,
But to do it, because I'm going to tell you, there's that. I don't know. It's kind of a cliche saying, but like, I'm going to butcher it, but it's like you never truly would it until you help so many people and you expect nothing in return. I don't know that there's a better feeling.
mm-hmm.
Like I see, so this is so funny, real quick. So I was doing a lady's hair and I don't intertwine S.E.V in the salon.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody brings it up, then I'll say, oh, then I'll respond to it.
Sure.
But I'm never like, hey, I'm the S.E.V lady. So I had a lady in my chair one day and she was like, yeah, my sister got this letter in this mail from this blah, 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 blah. And she was just talking. I was like, oh, that's really nice, and I didn't say much about it. And then she came back 8 weeks later and she said, "Oh, you're the S.E.V lady. You sent that letter." And I was like, well, because it's confidential who we send things to, for one. She was talking about it. Her sister had told her about it. But I was like, well, like it just, yeah, I'm the S.E.V lady, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't like to intertwine stuff like that. So I see hundreds of people out that I know who they are. They probably don't know who I am, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I may not know anything more than their cancer diagnosis, but I don't ever go up and be like, oh, hey, how are you doing? Like, that's so uncomfortable. And so I like to, it's almost like a creeper style. Like, I like when I see people that I know who have been diagnosed and I see them doing well. I like to see them out in the community and, just kind of grinning, and sometimes you get that look like, oh shit, there she is. Like, but I try not to, I don't approach anybody about it. I don't say anything about it. I had a lady come up to me, actually give me a big old hug that I didn't even know. She got me out of left field, literally, and came up and gave me a big hug. I didn't know who she was personally. I knew of her name. But we had helped her, recently when I had seen her, and she was so thankful. So it was, there's just no other feeling like it, really.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Not every year, but many years on my birthday on Facebook, I will post and I will just say, for anyone who wants to get me something, just do something kind today and don't let anyone know you did it. Don't ask for anything in return. I always have these memories. I like Facebook memories and Snapchat memories, and that's kind of cool. One that pops up it's like a little meme, because I share a million memes, but it's like a happiness meme where it's like one person standing in a group is happy. And by just spreading that to the person next to them, it just continues to spread. And if you just do things without expecting anything in return, imagine the community overall, how it would appear.
Yeah. It's an awesome feeling. There's really nothing like it. I know at the end of a pink out, it's like, and every time we get contacted about somebody else, it's like, it's devastation, obviously. By now I was hoping we weren't going to need to exist, honestly. Because that means cancer's gone, right? That's not the case. But it to know that we can help them a little bit through all of that is, it's a good feeling.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Well, I want to thank you on behalf of, countless people I've heard over the years. It's really important what you've created, and thank you for helping so many local families.
Well, thanks. You're my right-hand man. You've made all the shirts. Even before you had this, you were designing them. So,
well, I play a very, very small part, but I thank you.
Well, I appreciate it.
Well,
you and Courtney got to deal with a lot of especially during pink out time. Oh my gosh.
And
constant.
Real quick, I just want to say, most people see me on social media and they think of me when they think of this place or whatever. But Courtney, I can guarantee you, is doing way more work than I am, and you just don't see it. She is got these notebooks with like millions and millions of things wrote down, all while trying to balance, other things going on in her life. So shout out, Courtney. Thank you.
Thanks, Court.
Uh, really, thank you for coming on. I really
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
It was a lot of fun. If we can ever be of any help, let me know.
For sure.
One more high five. That was good.
Way to go.
See you.